Hello everyone and welcome back to another SHSAT review. Today I'll be reviewing 17 ninth grade sample questions from the 2011 SHSAT Student Handbook. This was actually requested to me by someone in the SHSAT Discord server. The link will link not only to the Discord server but also to the handbook will be in the description of this video. So if you want a nice place where you can hang out and talk to others and also study for the SHSAT, definitely go check them out. They have a lot of good resources there. We will be starting on page 109 in question number 1. So let's go. So we're given x over 3 is equal to 3x minus 15 over 4. What is the value of x? Well, notice we have two fractions and they're equal to each other, which means that we could just cross multiply. So what we can do is we can write x over 3 is equal to 3x minus 15 over 4 and just cross multiply. So now we have 4 times x is equal to 3x minus 15. This essentially, 4 times x is going to be obviously going to be 4x. So here's our 4x. So 4x is going to be equal to, and then we just distribute this, 3 times 3x, which is going to be 9x, minus 3 times 15x, which is 45x. Negative 45x, my bad. Yeah, anyways, next thing we do is we subtract 4x from this side, and 4x from this side. 9 minus 4 is going to be 5, so now we are left with 5x. We add 45 to our other side, so now we're left with 45 is equal to 5x. Divide by 5 on both sides, you get x is equal to 9. If you didn't catch that last part, let me redo it for you, because it was a little bit confusing, I bet. Yep, so essentially we were left with 4x is equal to 9x minus 45. We subtracted 4x from both sides. We got left with 0 is equal to 5x minus 45. We added 45, that way we have to deal with a positive number. And we got 45 is equal to 5x divided by 5, and we got a, which is our answer, which is also 9. Moving on to number 2. The line defined by the equation y equals 15x minus 45 intercepts the x-axis. Point P as shown. Oh my god. At point P as shown above, what are the coordinates of point P? So the important thing to note is that we are actually given the equation of the line, and we just have to solve for this. So what do we see here? We see that it's directly on the x-axis. It's touching it, and whenever something is only touching the x-axis, its y has to be 0. You see that it has absolutely no height. It's completely flat and level with the origin. So that means that in this equation, our y has to equal 0. So we look here, what is 0? Well, no, this is x0, this is x0, and the rest are all y0. So now we have to deal with f, g, and h. So now that we know that y is 0, what can we do with this information? Well, we can look right here and see that this equation is actually in terms of y. So we can just put y as 0 and just solve for x. So 0 is equal to 15x minus 45. We'll add 45 to both sides. We get 45 is equal to 15x, divide by 15 on both sides. We get 3 is equal to x. So now we have 3 comma 0, which is g. So we have G for number 2, number 3. How many different ways can a team of 2 men and 2 women be formed if there are 4 men and 5 women from which to select? Now, something like this, there is no formula to do. Unfortunately, not that I know of, but what you're going to have to do is assign letters to men and letters to women, and individually count them out. So let's just say our group of 4 men, we have man A, man B, man C, and man D. So we'll list all possible combinations. So we can have A and B, we can have A and C, and we can have A and D. Next we can have B and C, we can have B and D, And then last we can have C and D. Notice we don't repeat anything because you can't have two of the same people. You can't have man A and man A because man A is its own person, and we're also not repeating anyone because if you already have man B and man C, and you have another man B and man C, that doesn't count as a new combination, so we just cross it out. So these are all the unique combinations that we can make. And if we count this out, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from that, we can ascertain that there are 6 possible combinations for the men group. So we'll write 6 above here. Next, we'll do it for the female. So let's just say females are E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can have EF, we can have EG, we can have EH, and EI. Next, we can have FG, FH, FI. We can have GH, GI. And we can have oh, no. And then next thing, we just have HI, and then there's nothing left for I. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 total combinations and 10 total groups for the females, or for the women. So now we have 6 ways to arrange our men, now, and 10 ways to arrange our women. And we want the total amount. We can just multiply both of these values together for a total of 60 combinations in total. We multiply our total possibility of combinations from our men to our women to find our total amount. Essentially, when you get these and you get really confused, just draw the individual combinations out and make sure that you have no duplicates. You could have perfectly done A, B, A, C, then do B, A, B, C, and then cross out the ones that are similar. For the sake of time, I didn't do that. I just wrote the individual groups. So keep in mind that method. Number 4. In the figure above, angle QTS, so QTS is congruent to angle QRS, so QRS, that. And I'll mark it like so. So this and this are both congruent. Point T lies at the intersection of line segments QU and PS. Which of the following angles must also be congruent to QS? So we have an intersection of 2 lines, which means that angle QTS and angle PTU are vertical angles, which means that they are congruent to each other. And if this angle is equal to this angle, and this angle is equal to this angle, all 3 of them have to be the same. So, which angle is congruent to QRS? QRS has to be congruent to PTU, which is K, PTU. Remember, if you have an angle that's right here, we had an angle that was congruent to a pair of vertical angles. Always remember vertical angles, never forget them. Alright, number 5. If 4 cubed times 8 squared is equal to 2 to the power of x, what is the value of x? So whenever we have these problems, we want to change our base to our final base. So in this equation, our final base is 2. So we want to change our base from 4 to 2, and we want to change our base from 8 to 2. So how do we do this? Well, we can just rewrite 4 in terms of 2. So what is 4? Well, 4 is 2 squared, so we'll write 2 squared, which just means 4. But remember, it's to the power of 3, and we'll just write 3 up there. If we solve the parentheses first, we'll get 4, and then do the exponent, we'll get 4 to the power of 3, so it's the same thing. Now multiply by 8. What is 8? Well, 8 is 2 to the power of 3, and then we're squaring it, so after that, that's 2. So 2 to the power of 3 is 8. When we solve the parentheses, we get 8, and then we get 8 squared, so it's the same thing. And all of this is equal to 2x. Remember our rule, whenever we have an exponent in parentheses, we multiply the outside by the inside. So this will turn into 2 to the power of 6 times 2 to the power of 6, because 2 times 3 is 6. This is going to be 2x. Remember, another rule is whenever we're multiplying exponents that have the same base, we have to add the exponents. So since we have the same base of 2, 2 to the power of 6 times 2 to the power of 6 is going to equal to 2 to the power of 6 plus 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, so x has to equal 12, which is a. Moving on to number 6. If n is equal to 100, 120, 1.25 repeating, what is the value of n expressed as a fraction? Well, recall our rule. Anything over 9, 99, 999, or 9,999, it doesn't matter. Anything over a repeating set of 9s will infinitely repeat. What I mean by this is 6 over 9 is going to equal to 0.6 infinitely repeating. So whatever you put over 9 or 99, it's going to infinitely repeat. So we can immediately cross out 5 over 4, cross out 113 over 90, and cross out 14 over 11, because none of them have a repeating 9 in their denominator. So now we're left with 124 over 99 and 125 over 99. So how are we going to figure this out? Well, obviously we're not going to divide it because that's a waste of time on the SHSAT. What we are going to do is we're going to use our rule and actually convert 1.25 into a improper fraction. So we can separate this as 99 over 99 that is equal to 1, plus that's 0.25 repeating, which is the same thing as saying 25 over 99. What exactly is 25 over 99? 25 over 99 is 124. So always remember that. In this case, we use 99. When you have 2 digits, uses 99. When you have 3 digits, use 999. When you have 4 digits, use 99k. You know, it's always 99. Always remember the rule. Anything over 99 is infinitely repeating. This one would have definitely tricked some people. They would have chose 125, but convert it back into a regular proper fraction. And then just convert that proper fraction into an improper fraction, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. It's pretty simple. Don't mess up on these types of problems. Alright, number 7. If 1 liter is approximately equal to 1.06 quarts and 32 ounces is equal to 1 quart, how many 20-ounce containers of soda can completely be filled by a 2-liter container of soda? So whenever we have these conversions, I always like to actually write them out. So I have 1L is equal to 1.06 Q, and I have 1 Q is equal to 320Z. Okay, so how many 20-ounce containers of soda can completely be filled by a 2-liter container of soda? So if we want to find how many 20-ounce containers can be completely filled, we're going to have to convert 2 liters into ounces and then divide it by 20, because that's how many, because each container is 20, we're going to divide it by 20. So I think the most difficult thing here is to actually convert 2 liters into ounces. So if 1 liter is going to equal to 1.06, we can just multiply both sides of 2 times 2 to get 2 liters. So we end up getting 2 liters is equal to 1.06 times 2, which is the same thing as 1.12. Sorry, 2.12. My bad. Because we're multiplying both sides. Okay. So now that we know what 2 liters is in quarts, we now need to convert quarts to ounces. Remember, here's our conversion. 1 quart is equal to 32 ounces. And so in order to get the value of 2.12 ounces, we're going to have to multiply both sides by 2.12 and 2.12. We're going to get 2.12 times 1 is equal to 2.12. And 2.12 times 32 is equal to 67.84. and this is going to be ounces. So now that we have our number, we have to divide this by 20 to see how many times it fits in a 20-ounce bottle. And we get 3.39, if I believe. Now, completely filled. So what 3.39 means is that it completely fills 3 containers and it has 0.39 left. So our answer has to be B. Moving on to number 8. In the figure above, line L passes through the origin. Which equation below describes the line L? So we know it's linear, so it has to have a slope. And we know since it's linear and since it passes through the origin, it has no y-intercept because it's just 0. With that in mind, we could also see that it's going downwards, like that, which means it has a negative slope. If it was going upwards, it would have a positive slope. So let's just start eliminating some answer choices. Y equals 2x. 2 is our slope. 2 is positive, so we can eliminate it. Our slope here is negative 2, which is negative, going down, which is fine. Y equals x. X is positive. Our slope would be positive 1. Y equals positive 1/2 x. That's also positive. So now we're left with negative 2 and negative 1 over 2. Well, how do we figure it out? Well, automatically we know it passes through the origin, so one of our points is 0, 0. And they also are kind enough to give us a second point, which is negative 2, 1. We can plug this into y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, which is the slope formula. So here we go, y1 minus y2, so that's 1 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. That's going to be positive 1 over negative 2, which is the same thing as saying negative 1 over 2, which is k for number 8. Moving on to number 9. Simplified. What is a simplified form of 6 of this big number if x is not equal to 0? So let's just improve the quality of life here and make our lives easier. So we have 2x squared minus 4x over 3x. Now, instead of just immediately expanding this out, we can actually simplify it a little bit. So we can rewrite it as squared minus 4x over 3 times x. And since, because if we expand this, it's just going to be turned into 3x. So we can just factor the 3 out. So now we're going to be left with 6 as our outside and 3 as our inside, and we could just divide them together. They cancel out. 3 cancels out. 6 is left with 2, because 6 over 3 is equal to 2, is equal to 2 over 1. So 1 times x is going to be x, and essentially we're going to be left with the following equation. We're going to be left with 2x squared minus 4x over x. So now we can expand it. 2 times 2x squared is going to be 4x squared. 2 times negative 4x is 8x. And we divide everything by x. A lot of people get confused here, but when you have two things being subtracted over the same denominator, you can just rewrite them over the same denominator. So we can just rewrite this as 4x squared over x minus 8x over x. X's cancel out, and x's cancel out, we get 4x minus 8, which is C. Remember that if you divide any square by itself, it's going to turn into its original self. In this case, we divided x squared by x. It's going to turn into its original self, which is x. Moving on to 10. The translation of point P 3, 5 to P prime 5, negative 3 is equivalent to rotating P by which of the following clockwise rotations about the origin? So let's see what's happening here. We have a y and an x. Our y and an x for our P is 3, 5. Nope, that is wrong way around. Sorry about that. So our regular P, that's x, y, which is 3, 5, and our P prime, our x, y, turns into 5, negative 3. So what happened here? We put our y first, so we have y, And then our x, which was 3, turned into negative 3. So y comma negative x happened. Now, whenever you have a rotation that follows the rule of y comma negative x, it has to be a 90-degree rotation. So it's G. Remember your rotations and try to figure out what happened and what changed. In this situation, I found out what happened to our y-axis. They put our y-axis first, and then they negated our x-axis and put it second. So that is equal to y comma negative x, which is a 90-degree rotation, clockwise rotation. What is the greatest integer n that satisfies the inequality? So in order to find the greatest integer, we have to actually solve the inequality for n. So let's simplify and solve. So right here we can just add n on both sides. So now we get 5 is greater than or equal to 4n minus 4. We can just add 4 on both sides. Now we get 9 is greater than or equal to 4n. Divide both sides by 4. We get 9 over 4 is equal to n. Let me quickly do what 9 over 4 is. 9 divided by 4. That is equal to 2.25. So 2.25 is greater than or equal to n. So what this means is n has to be less than, or it has to be less than 2.25, or it has to be equal to 2.25. A lot of people would choose 2 and 1/4, but that is incorrect, because n is an integer. An integer is a an integer is a whole number. It can be a negative whole number, it could be a positive whole number, but it has to be whole. So it cannot be a decimal. So you can cross that out. We can look here, we see that 3 is actually greater than 2.25, so that can't be it. Same thing with 4. 4 is greater than 2.25. And here we have 1. While 1 is less than 2.25, it's not the biggest value it can be. The biggest value can be is 2, because that's the closest to 2.25, closest whole number to 2.25. Don't forget your units. Sorry, not units. Oh my god. Don't forget your rules, and don't forget your definitions of integers and real numbers. The volume of a cube is 729 cubic feet. What is the length in inches of one of its side of the cube? So we have 729 cubic feet, and they want one side in inches. So we have a cube, and the volume of a cube is essentially s cubed. Wow, what a surprise. So we have to find the cube root of 729. So x times x times x is equal to 729. What is x? Well, if you memorize your table, you know that 9 times 9 times 9 is actually equal to 729. So we know that one side is going to be 9 feet. So a lot of people would choose 9. That's actually incorrect, because we have to convert it into inches. But 9 is we found 9 feet. So we have to multiply 9 by 12 inches, because there's 12 inches in 1 foot. And that gives us 108 inches, which is h. I think this is the easiest way to solve it. Yes, you could have technically converted 729 cubic feet into cubic inches, but that's way too much math, and given time constraints that you have on the test, I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, moving on to 13. In the figure above, point N lies on straight line M and P, and angle RNS is a right angle. What is the value of y in terms of x? So if you look really closely here, don't know why it's lagging, but this entire thing from R to S is technically encapsulated in that right angle. So we know that everything inside it, x, 47, and y, has to equal to 90. So we can just write it in terms of 90. So x plus 47 plus y is equal to 90. We don't care what x and we don't care about y is. They want us to find the value of y. So we can just solve for y in this. So we could subtract 47 from both sides. 47 by minus 90 is 43. So now we have x plus y is equal to 43. Now we want the value of y in terms of x. So we subtract x from both sides. And we get y is equal to 43 minus x, which is a. Nope, that is not 43. Ooh, it's not my eraser. Which is A, 43 minus x. The matter, sorry, drop my pencil. The order in which your number and your variable does matter. So however you subtracted x, it has to stay that way. In this case, we subtracted x this way, so it has to stay on this side, which is 43 minus x. So yeah, the property value. A property is valued at $300,000 today. If this represents a 150% increase in value over its value 10 years ago, what is the value of property 10 years ago? So a lot of big mistake that people make is they think that 150% is the total increase, and they think that's 1.5. Well, that's actually wrong. It did not increase by 150%. It increased 150% in addition to itself. So we have to add 150% to its already 100% value, which actually gives us with 250%, which is equal to 2.5. Think about it. If a bag of M&Ms, they create a brand new fun size, which really isn't fun. If you look at peanut M&Ms, it has like 3 peanut M&Ms in a single fun size bag. But let's say they're kind to us and they increase the size of they increase the amount of peanut M&Ms, 2 peanut M&Ms in that baggie to 150%. That doesn't mean that means that we're gonna have to multiply those 2 measly peanut M&Ms by 150% and then add it to the original 2 M&Ms in order to get our new total, which essentially means that we're multiplying that entire original value of the M&Ms by 250%. Same thing here. Seriously though, peanut M&Ms, the fun size packets, don't buy them. Buy the family size, buy the share size. It's not sponsored by them. Not sponsored. Why would it? But anyways, so essentially we have a 250% increase, which is equal to 2.5. So now that we know how much it increased by, we need to know what to multiply our original value by. So we have 2.5x, and x is our original value, is equal to $300,000. In order to solve, we can just divide both sides by 2.5, and we get x, our original value, as 120,000. Meaning that if you were multiplying 120,000 by 2.5, you would get 300,000. Number 15. The dashed line is the line of symmetry for triangle QRS. What are the coordinates of point S? So what a line of symmetry says is that the distance from here to here is going to be the same distance from here to here. So what is the distance from here to here? We went from 7. Well, technically we don't need this distance, so we're only looking for the height distance. So what is the difference in height? We went from 8, which is what up here, and we went down to 2, so we dropped in 6. So the total distance there is going to be 6, which means that the total distance from this line downwards is also going to be 6. So what that means is we subtracted 8 minus 6, we went down to 2, and right here we're going to have to do 2 minus 6 to go down to our new point, which is going to be -4. Also notice that it's a straight line all the way down, so our x-axis didn't change. So it's still going to stay as +7, -4. +7, -4 is answer choice C. So remember that about the remember symmetry lines. It's really important trick. In the figure above, MNOP is a square with side lengths of 20. Okay, let's write that. Each arc inside MNOP is 1/4 the circumference of a circle with either M or O as its center. What is the area of the region labeled 2? So we know that 2 is consistent of actual 2 quadrants. So this is 1/4 of a circle, which is equal to 1 plus 2. And then there's another part of a circle, this part of the circle, which is equal to 2 plus 3. So if our plan essentially is to find these two areas, subtract them. That way we subtract the value of this. So essentially, this value is gone. We're left with 1 and 3. But if we subtract the value of 1 and 3 from the total area, we'll get this value back, if that makes sense. So essentially, we're getting rid of this in order to get 3 and 1. We're going to add 3 and 1 together and subtract it by the total area here in order to get back this. I know that may sound confusing, and it probably is, but I don't know any other way to explain it. So we have 20 and 20. So since we're going to be subtracting it from the total area of the entire thing, our answer is essentially going to have minus 400. So if we look down, we can immediately narrow it down to j and k. Next, we actually have to find the area of these two semicircles. So if you look here, they said M or O is the circle. Is the center. So if this is the center, 20 is obviously our radius. Area is equal to pi r squared, which is equal to essentially 20 squared times pi, which is 400 pi. As our total area. Remember, this is 1/4 of a circle. We do 400 divided by 4, we get 100 pi. As the area of 1/4 of the circle. But remember, we have an entire second circle to deal with. And since the radius is going to be 20, since it's a square, this side is 20, this side is 20, this radius is also going to be 20, and the 1/4 length is also going to be 100 pi. So we can just add these together, and we're left with 200 pi. We're going to have to subtract it from 400, which is j. So essentially, since this is the section that overlaps, we're going to be left with 3. We're going to be left with 1. If we subtract 3 and 1 from this entire thing, we'll be left with 2. I hope you understood that. I'm sorry if you didn't. And finally, question number 17. In the figure above, all lines are straight. MP and RN intersect at point Z. What is the value of X? Well, I think if you didn't take geometry, like high school geometry, you're going to learn... Oh, God, what did I do? Anyways, you're going to learn something called rules of congruency, which means that... rules of congruency, rules of similarity. So if two triangles share the same angle, share two of the same angle measure, they have to be similar. Right here, they share one angle measure, the 90 and the 90, and they also have a pair of vertical angles. So yes, they do have two congruent angles, which means this is a similar triangle. So there's going to have to be a magic number we multiply 5 by to get 6, and there's also going to be a magic number we multiply 3 by to get x. So we can just find this magical number right here. So since we're going since this length is similar to this length, we're actually gonna have to increase it and find what we increase it by. So what can we multiply 5 by to get 6? Well, we can multiply it by 6 over 5. Because if we multiply 6 over 5, our 5's cancel out, we get left with 6. So it turns out 6 over 5 is actually our magic number to get the length of x. So we can just multiply this by 3, we get 18 over 5. That's going to be 3 and 3/5, which is going to be b, which is 17. And that's essentially our entire review done. Check the link in the description for the new Discord server and for the handbook. I hope you learned something. Please leave a comment asking what, I guess, subject to review next. I'm always looking for comments. It's kind of hard to find things to review because I don't know if you actually need them. Other than that, I hope you learned something today. Have a nice night or day or morning, depending on where you're viewing this from, and also start a petition for peanut M&Ms to make their fun size bigger.